One thing I don't like is being around people that are not motivated, don't adhere to the responsibilities that they signed up for, and are just content with being mediocre people. Like you always, well, I'm just going to speak for myself and how I like to do things. You always want to be the best at whatever you're doing. Now, of course, sometimes being the best at whatever you're doing, it can be a bad thing. You want to be the best, but being the best can also be a curse. Because once you are the best, people expect you to be the best all the time. No matter what changes in your life, no matter what changes about your physical ability, your mental ability. But if you were ever the best at something, they expect you to be the best all the time. Now, when you are the best, a lot of people tend to look at you and rely on you in situations in which you don't want them to rely on you. But being the best brings those kind of things to you. Like I don't understand how. I'll just use somebody who's playing a sport. I'll say football because that's my sport. You don't want to be the best receiver there is. You don't want to put in the work to be the best. In my years of coaching, I've come across athletes and coaches that don't care to be the best. And a lot of times you can't be the best in that sport, but you can be the best that you can be the best version of yourself. So like I really don't like being around mediocre people, especially when their mediocrity depends on my success level. Like when you're on a team and they don't want to work out hard, or they don't want to, I'll say coaching staff, they don't want to learn what they need to learn or put in the work to teach the players. That really burns me up, man, because I'm out here with the goal to win in all phases of life too, not just sports, but to win in all phases of life, to be the best I can be, to be around the best people I can be around, to be successful. But a lot of times the mediocre people don't like the hard-working people because of the requirements that they put on themselves. But a lot of times you raise, if you're allowed to, by those mediocre people, you will raise their motivation level, by your expectations. So you got to create those expectations, to kind of motivate them and pull them up to the level of motivation or expectation or the standard. I said you got to pull them up to the standard that you're trying to create for yourself, your surroundings, your circle. It could be just friends, man, but you don't want to hang around certain people that do certain things. So that's the standard you create through friendship, the standard you create through organizations, through the way you do your job. Like sometimes your company might not even want you to be the best at what it is, because the company don't know what the best is. So a lot of times you push the people inside your organization so much that they feel threatened. When you become or close to the best, or the best that they've seen, they appreciate what you can do. However, sometimes doing what you could do makes you seem a little bit brighter, or in some cases smarter than what they've seen or what they are in those subject matters. So it becomes across as being a little bit threatening. But nevertheless, you got to continue to work hard and do what you do. Stay motivated as best you can. And sometimes you got to create other outlets so you don't get burned out doing what you're doing if they are handcuffing you with not letting you be the hardworking, motivating person that you are. Now, the second part to this conversation is people who don't stand up to responsibilities. That's a wide variety of people. For example, the biggest thing that people talk about are the deadbeat dads. The deadbeat dads, they run from their responsibility. And I can understand to a certain extent, how some deadbeat dads don't have the ability to accept the responsibilities because they feel like they were not ready for those responsibilities and don't know how to get ready. A lot of times people run because they just don't understand what's going on, understand how to make it better, understand how to conquer the situation. So they tuck their tail and run and dropped their responsibilities. But sometimes the husband has responsibilities to his wife. And if you don't understand how to maintain those responsibilities, sometimes you might even drop your marriage or drop your relationship based on your ability or lack of ability, to take on the responsibilities that you have set forth. And then you have people that are in organizations that sign that they can handle certain responsibilities, that say that, hey, this is what we need to do, that agrees to the standards, and then all of a sudden they don't want to follow the standard. They want to do the bare minimum for that standard to succeed, and I'm not a bare minimum kind of guy. Like, if there's a standard, I want to be above the standard. I don't want to be the guy that just meets the standard or fall below the standard because nobody else is at the standard. If we work to create that standard, man, I want that standard to be higher each time. Age doesn't change the standard. Age just makes you go and hit that standard in a different way. I might not be able to run as fast as I can to be that standard, but by now, hopefully, I done figured out a way mentally to reach that standard without being able to run fast or jump high or stay up late or this, that, and the third. So it really gets in my grits, man, when people don't step up to the plate and do what they signed up for. Like, you should not have to beg a person to do what they signed up for, no matter what. They can have an easy conversation with you, saying, hey man, I really can't do this anymore. Let me step away from this because I can't stay up with the standard. But they're not gonna do that. They're gonna sit back and try to figure out how to do the bare minimum of what it is to survive. And that really gets on my nerves. Now if the bare minimum is their standard, and they went into it saying that all they can do is the bare minimum, I understand. Understand that because they said that from day one, stepping right up to the plate. Hey, I can't do that. For example, you marry a woman, she got 3 kids, and you tell her like, hey man, I can't do everything that you need me to do by 3 kids. And if she decides to go on and marry you, and you've already told her that you can't reach that standard that she wants you to be on, then that's on her. And I know a lot of times, if I can't reach that standard that she wants me to be on, then there's no need for us to be in a relationship, because one of us is only going to get disappointed. At some point in time, she's going to be unhappy because she wants her standard to be hit. At one point in time, I'm going to be unhappy because I'm struggling like hell to hit the standard that she is trying to maintain. So that goes on to a little bit further of people being equally yoked. That's not only with marriage or relationships. It's like friendships too. You don't want to be friends with somebody that you guys can't get along and help each other out and move ahead. My wife tells me all the time, she said, one of your problems is you expect too much of people and you want to bring people up to your level, when sometimes people will never get to your level. No matter how much you care about them, no matter how hard they work, sometimes they're not going to get to your level. And honestly, sometimes that puts me in a box, and I feel a lot of pressure. And I'm like, dang man, I feel like I'm trapped right here, because the people that I have surrounded myself with thus far, they don't want to go get this, whatever it is that I'm trying to go get, with the intensity that I'm trying to go get it. I like to go hard and do it, as hard as I can. A lot of people don't like to go hard, and the people that are around me in these situations, sometimes I push them, without pushing with my hands. I push them to be the best that they can be, at least while they're around me. When they're not around me, they may not be trying to be the best, but if you're a part of a team setup, a coaching staff, a relationship, a marriage, a friend circle, a motorcycle club, a football team, administrative team, if the people around you aren't trying to be as successful as you are trying to be, then it's going to cause frustration between some people on that staff or organization or club. If they don't want to be successful and you're trying to be successful, it's going to be frustrating to you because you're not going to be able to raise their success level, and it's going to be frustrating to them because they're going to feel like you're doing too much. Now I'm not doing too much. I just ain't got time to be mediocre. Like that's not my thing, man. I can't stand that. We're gonna get off of the responsibilities and get off of the other stuff that we talked about, and I'm gonna go into single moms out there. I think you guys need to, man, like I said earlier, I don't want this to go sound like it might sound. I want you guys to do a better job of raising these boys, not to be, I don't know if the word soft is the right word to use, but raise these boys to be men. Figure out ways to raise these boys to be men. And my homegirl asked the other day, she said, well, how do I know how to raise him to be a man if I'm not a man? And my answer to her question was this: you look at what you want a man to be like, and then you think to yourself, are you raising your son to be the type of man that a woman wants when it's time for him to get married? If the answer to that question is no, then you might need to get some help in raising your son that way. Because I know most women will expect their husband, boyfriend, or whatever to be able to change their car tire or have that car tire changed. And if you're not raising your son to learn these things that women would like or what is expected of them in life, then you're doing them a disservice. And I say that from several things that happened, this weekend. One, I was working with a young man that I really admire, really like, who's doing really well, that I'm always going to help out, in his life, and trying to show him some work stuff, some work ethic. That he has work ethic, so that's no thing, but try to show him how to create a business model at this, and just work and be ready to work, because everything's not going to be given to you, so I come across young men now that things that I knew how to do, or things that I was taught, or things that people thought were important as I was growing up, these kids today have no idea of how to do it. Like one situation, I had a young man whose mother's car battery died, and I was like, okay, man, just grab the jumper cables out of my car, here go my keys, hook it up to your mother's car and jump the battery. And he looked at me, he was like, I don't know how to do that. In my mind, I was like, man, you're 17 years old. You should know how to do that, especially if you getting ready to get a car and start driving. Now, I could have been raised crazy compared to the terms. They could have been teaching me stuff that I didn't need to know or whatever at that age, but I'm sure my wife appreciates these things now. And I'm not saying you have to be a mechanic, but, be able to take care of the base stuff. So going back to my homegirl and her saying, if I'm not a man, how do I know how to raise the kid to be a man? And me saying to her, what you like out of a man, what you want out of a man, other than desire, put that into your kid. And there are several organizations out there that you can have your kid be a part of so he can learn these things, such as, I don't even know if this is still out there now, but there used to be a Future Farmers of America thing that taught, people how to, the ins and outs of farming. There used to be, there's the Boy Scouts that'll teach certain responsibilities. You have brothers, cousins that are positive people, in your circle. Let your son get with them so they can teach him some stuff. Something as simple as cutting grass together, something as simple as going fishing. The kid learns how to do that stuff, but he learns a style of work ethic. He learns a style of organization, a style of structure, a style of discipline, through the smallest stuff. It doesn't always have to be something big, and you don't always have to require something big of men in your circle to be able to help. Something as simple as putting a kid on a football team. can really help him, because that's going to teach him discipline. That's going to teach him structure. And he might not be into football or whatever. You might put him on a basketball team or a soccer team, or having joined some club that's, kind of like men-based, so he can learn these things. If he's in school, high school, and they still got automotive technology, sign him up for it as one of his electives. Don't just look at it and be like, oh, he don't need that to get into college. He might not need to get into college, but he probably need it for the rest of his life to be able to learn some of that stuff. I took welding in high school and never thought I'd use it. I just took it because I thought it would be easy and something cool to learn. And it taught me how to weld, and now that I do a small motorcycle business, I've been welding a time or two here or there. So you never know what's going to come back to you. So I just think we got, and men out here in these circles, we got to do a better job of assisting these young men. Don't sit back and talk about the kid and say, he wears his pants down to his ankle. Why he wearing his pants down like that? Have you ever took him aside and talked to him about the reasons why not to wear his pants down? Or just get an understanding for why he's wearing his pants down. He may enlighten you of something that you never thought of, by telling you why his pants are down, or why he sees this, or why he thinks that. I'm just saying, as men, our responsibility, and I'll say as black men, but it really goes to all men, as black men, is our responsibility to make sure our community is taken care of. So you see kids out there doing wrong, you ain't gotta jump up and be mean and be mad at them. Just talk to them about, what your thoughts are, or just why. Hey man, why y'all doing that? And they may even give you an answer that mind boggles you, that you never thought of. But you'll understand why they doing it, and then you'll understand what angle to take to talk to them about not doing it. I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but got a couple of things that I want to cover in a little bit of time. And I was also listening to a Latino brother. I don't know if you can say Latino and brother in the same sense, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Latino brother the other day, and he had a question. He said, why do black people not work together to get what they need? Why are they always in competition with each other? And I can't say I agree with that wholeheartedly. And in the same breath, I heard somebody ask, did Martin Luther King really curse us by saying he wanted his kids and all the kids to be able to play as one and do that, this, and the third? And I was like, what do you mean by that? And this is what the fella said. And I want you to think about this. Respond to it if you want to, but you don't have to. The fella said, the Caucasian community does a lot of stuff just for the Caucasian community, and they keep it together. A lot of times they talk outside of their Caucasian women or Caucasian men dating and marrying and having babies with a black person, a Latino person, any other race. They really encourage people to stay, encourage the Caucasian community to stay within their race. And he said, I'll talk about the Latino community too. It reminds you, I'm speaking off of what somebody else said, y'all. So if I'm saying something improperly, I'm just saying what I was told. He said the Latino community is like that too. You see Latino people, they get together, they stay together. They try not to marry outside their race, although it might happen, more so than the other, but they try to stay together. The difference in the Caucasian community, the difference in the Latino community and the others, they're willing to work together for less, longer, to make it better in the long run for everybody in their family, in their circle. And then he said, you get to black people, it goes to which one of you has the best car. Instead of, shoot, let's work together to help you get a car, and then I know you can work with me to help me get a car, and then we'll both have the best cars. But black people don't all the time talk themselves or talk to each other or keep their kids or talk to their kids about staying within their race or marrying outside their race or working within their race, helping black people out as a community. He said black people are probably the most loved giving, and this was deep, I never really heard it like this either. Black people are probably the most loved giving race out there. And I say, please explain a little further. It's the black people the most loved giving race out there. You think about it. They were beat for years. They were in chains and shackles for years. And the people that had them in chains and shackles, they still treat nicely right now to this day. I said, yeah, you're right. The people that held them down, they still work for, look out for right now to this day. They still go and they marry into that race, you know, and make a blend of kid that doesn't looks nothing like the black race a lot of times. But on his card, he has to select that he's black, because once he's tainted with black, you know, he's just black. There's no biracial on there. There's no black and white mix. There's none of that on that card. And I said, man, you know, I never really thought about it like, you know, like that. He said, it's kind of diluting your race, diluting your population from, you know, black to not black, unless it's on paper, you know. So that's what I mean by what I'm saying. I thought about some of that stuff, man. And I'm a type of person that I like to love everybody, no matter what the race is, you know. So I also try to see things from other people's perspective, so I can understand and see, you know, what he's saying, you know. But then I also think about the people that say it's only one race, and that's the human race, you know. But I do agree when they say black people get the most love ever. We're the most love-giving race, and I think that is so true. I mean, in a lot of different ways. You look at the family reunions. I told a Latina sister that I have at work about family reunions. She was like, I don't think we ever had a family reunion, you know. So to me that's a love-giving of black people, you know. I agree. I have to agree with the young gentleman that black people are the most love-giving race out there. You know, I can't say, you know, from a slavery standpoint or bondage standpoint, you know, I let him have that, but I do believe that black people are the most love-giving race, because you're still able to smile with all your race has gone through at the people that have put you through it, and you're willing to help elevate those people just as well as elevate yourself. But I would love for us to work together more as a community, to educate, to help, and to assist each other, give that love throughout for all of us. And, you know, I'll just say thank you guys for listening. I know this was a pretty long one for me to be on here by myself, but thank you guys for listening. Continue to tune in to the Homeboy Hangout. You know, drop some lines, some notes, or whatever, if there's anything you want discussed. But stay tuned. We got some more Homeboy Hangout where all the homeboys are going to get together and chop it up. Peace.